Alright, so today here what we're going to be doing is demonstrating the ankle taping that we do here at Bethel University. There are certainly a variety of different techniques that can be used. This just so happens to be the one that we use on a pretty consistent and daily basis for athletes. It's pretty standard ankle taping style. The way that I'm going to demonstrate it today is primarily for a lateral ankle sprain, which is about 90 to 95% of all ankle sprains occur on the lateral side, so we almost always do it on that side. If by chance there was a medial ankle sprain, a couple of the strips would actually be done just slightly different in order to accommodate that. Again, we're going to be focusing primarily on the ligaments in here. Primary ligaments that we're worried about: anterior talofibular ligament coming from the fibula down to the talus here, calcaneofibular ligament here, and the posterior talofibular ligament going right back here. So first thing that we're going to have him do is put him in a specific position. What you always want to have him is in what we would call a neutral position, meaning that his ankle is flexed at a 90-degree angle. The reason that is so that way when he steps down, his foot's already in that position. So we kind of want it here like this. Make sure that he's clean and shaven. It's typically helpful because we want to make sure that we anchor directly onto the skin, and so therefore he's ready to go. Going to use some tape adherent spray, making sure that you spray this all around. We're not going to do it on him. Make sure you ask to see if they might be irritated to this, because some people they can get some skin allergic reactions. So just kind of spray this all over here, and that's going to make everything kind of hold nice and tight and stick. Next thing that we're going to do is actually apply these, which are called heel and lace pads. They're just little foam pieces that's got some sticky Vaseline on there. One is going to go onto where the laces would actually tie in the shoe, and then the other one is going to go back behind the heel. These are pretty high friction points, so it just helps kind of reduce any type of blisters that you might have. That's why they're called heel and lace pads. All right, once the heel and lace pads are on, we're going to apply our pre-wrap. And the pre-wrap can go on a number of different ways. Really the only objective is just to make sure the skin is covered and protected. Again, most people don't even use heel and lace, or don't even use pre-wrap because they want the tape directly onto the skin. However, if you're taping ankles every single day, that adhesive can really wear down on the skin and cause problems. So some people like to start from the top and go down. I actually like to start distally and go proximally. It really doesn't matter. But you'll see here the angle that I do this is very similar to when we get into the elastic bandage and horseshoe. So you'll kind of see this pattern come here in just a little bit. So as I go around, I'm just going to go around the foot a couple of times. I'm going to cross over that heel and lace pad, and then I'm going to come around the heel. This actually makes a figure 8 pattern. You can see there's a loop here and a loop here. If I continue that a couple of times, just overlapping, eventually I'll have covered, again, the majority of the foot, majority of the ankle. I want to come up just about a little bit below where the calf kind of comes down. You can see there's nothing really, no open areas. That way, again, the skin is fairly protected. So now I'm going to take my tape. The first piece is almost always on a tape job are what are called anchors. And the anchors are going to help hold everything into place. Here it's very critical that your anchors actually go on the skin. So even though he hasn't shaven, we're going to say, oh, too bad, we're going on the skin. We're going to take one piece of tape and wrap it around, and another piece of tape just overlapping by half. So you can see it starts, this comes up in half and then comes all the way around. Now if you can see, I've angled it down just a little bit, and the reason for that is that the lower part of the leg here is not a perfect cylinder, And so in order to make sure that the tape lies completely flat, you want to make sure that you angle this down just a little bit. Okay? So those are our two anchors on the top. Anchor on the bottom. It's very critical when you put this anchor down by the foot that you don't make it too tight, because when you step on the foot wants to spread out. And if it's too tight right here at the base of the fifth metatarsal, the athlete won't like it and will want to cut it off. So the easy way that I do it is I pull out about a foot, so about 12 inches of tape, and then I pretend that there's an imaginary line right smack dab in the middle of the tape, and that's going to lay down right, keep this foot up here, right smack dab, okay, on top of the foot here. And this just is going to come around and lay really nice and loose. I'm going to rip the tape. I'm going to take this piece and come down and nice and loose there. Okay, this shouldn't be too tight. It's one of the things that they're really going to complain about if that's too tight. All right. So after our anchor's done, we can move into the next piece, which is going to be our stirrups. Now it's easy to kind of remember stirrups and thinking about riding a horse, and that the stirrups are going to come up on either side. Because it's a lateral ankle sprain, we're going to start on the medial side. We're going to come right down, straight down the leg to the very tip of the calcaneus. We're going to we're going to rip this off, and we're going to pull this again straight up. Okay? We don't want any type of crazy angle here. We want it to go right up the entire length of the tibia. So imagine a straight line all the way down to the very, very tip of the calcaneus. We're actually going to do two of those. We're overlapping by half. As it comes around, I'll show you what we mean here. Okay. So this is 1.5 inch tape. If you're overlapping it in half, you should have about a 2-inch wide span across here. Again, going almost straight up the entire length of the tibia. You don't want it to come in too far forward. You don't want it to come in too far back. You just want it straight up and down. All right. So our next piece is what we're going to call a 6. Now, the reason it's a 6 here, I'll show you just I'll show you with this piece so you can kind of see what it looks like, because it's the different color. We're going to come here and we're going to wrap this around, okay, and that makes the number 6, like this. Okay, but we're going to do it on the other side first, and then come back on this side. So it's actually a kind of a reverse 6. So I'm going to do the piece first, so then I'm going to flip it around so the camera can see. But I'm going to start basically about where the beginning of the stirrups were. I'm going to wrap this, and then I'm going to come around the very top of the foot and rip this off. If you want to come around again, you can. You don't really necessarily have to. Okay. So on this side, so instead of starting right on where the stirrup is, I'm angling this back just a little bit. And what that does is that allows, as I come around, this angle to not be super wrinkly. As I loop this around, again, I could rip it right there, or I can come up all the way to the top and finish off just like that. So again, you see this number 6. Okay, if I'm looking straight on it, it looks like a number 6. All right, then our very last piece that we're going to put on is what's called the heel lock. The heel lock starts where the two 6s meet, and if you look straight down on these two 6s where they cross, okay, they make an X. You can see it right here. Think about X marks the spot. So that's right where our heel locks are actually going to start. So here on this blue piece, I'm again going to show it. We're going to start right here. Okay, it's going to come down to the calcaneus, but instead of coming up around the actual top, I'm going to angle it back and come right here. Okay, so what it's going to do is it's just going to loop around the calcaneus and meet right back at the top here. So I'm going to do this start on the other side, because again, I'm always wanting to support the lateral side first. Okay, so I start right where the X marks the spot is. I'm going to come down. I'm going to catch the back of the heel right here. And as I come back around, I'm going to come right back to that X and rip the tape right there. So So if I'm going to do it on this side, I'm going to come right around here, come up, okay, and rip it right like that. Now my tape job is essentially done. All the supportive pieces are in, the anchors are in. They could actually go out and play because all the supportive pieces are there, but eventually this is going to start coming unraveled, and so we want to make sure that we close everything up and make sure it's nice and tight so it doesn't come loose. And so what we're going to do is called lacing up. So lacing up, we start at the very top, come around at basically about that same angle down. We're going to do 2 pieces overlapping by half, kind of like we did for our anchors. But then now we're just going to continue overlapping by half, and as I go down, you'll see that I start, instead of going like a downward angle, I start moving it straight across. I keep working that way down. Now I'm angling even kind of further in the opposite direction. Once I get down to right about where that heel and lace pad is, you'll see that if I keep coming and try to attaching these 2 pieces together, it's not going to really fit super well. So what I can do instead is I can just cut it a little bit short, so I don't have to go and meet all the way, but as long as it's secured onto here, we're okay. Again, overlapping by half, and then just really 2 more pieces, just like that. Okay. Okay. Now, just like that first anchor down on the foot, I'm going to do the same thing. Pull off by about 12 inches. Come down right smack into the middle, bring this piece down nice and easy to the calcaneus, just letting it lay down, doesn't have to be super tight. Okay. And then just kind of make sure you rub it all out, make sure everything's sticking really good. The adhesive on here is kind of heat activated. If you rub it a little bit, it'll just make sure that it's a little extra sticky, so that way it doesn't kind of start coming unraveled. Just kind of rub it around, make sure it's nice and secure and tight, and there they go. They're all ready to go out and play. Now, in order to take this off, the easiest thing to do is to take a scissors or a tape cutter. You're just going to come straight down this line right behind the lateral malleolus, and then come zip it right out here. So what he's going to do is he's going to reach in. I'm going to take that. Okay. Now I can just cut that right off.